Welcome to the Brave Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Lynn, founder of Sistership Circle and author of Open Your Heart and The Art of Leading Circle. I'm the mother of 2 girls, an 8 on the Enneagram, aka the Challenger, happily married to my business partner, Brent, love connecting with nature, and have put in well over 10,000 hours circling with other women. On this podcast, we will explore how to embody the brave woman so that you can take action on your dreams and desires, unapologetically speak your truth, and live life on your own terms. Grab a seat and a cup of tea, and let's get started. Welcome to today's solo episode. As I was tuning into this week, I wanted to go back and look at this season's intention and looking at, who are some of the people that I've interviewed, that I've been called to interview, and, what's been really alive for me. And this season's intention was being spirit-led to create magic. And so we talked about manifestation. We've talked about healing our mother wound. We've got a lot of conversations around money and business and the feminine, and just how do we bring all that together. And one of the things that has been most important for me on my journey is deepening into feminine embodiment. And what I've seen so much of so many women who come to Sistership Circle and who are in my world is this desire to go deeper and really understanding what it means to be living in the feminine and to be able to manifest and create from our feminine power. And as coaches, healers, medicine women, therapists, there's that desire to take women deeper. And so that's what I want to talk about today. And what I've been hearing so much in the collective from so many of the coaches and therapists is that desire to take a client from the head space and into the body. And so if you are a coach and you want to take your clients deeper, and you've noticed how much your clients could kind of stay in the head, and it's harder for them to access their emotions, harder for them to drop down into their hearts, that's what we're going to talk about and dive into. What does that mean to really go into the embodiment, to really embody freedom? I mean, that's the word that has been so alive for me over the past decade. It's so important to have that sense of freedom. It's been a North Star for me in my work. And so what does that mean? What does that look like? And, one thing that I've noticed from being on Zoom and really having this desire to be more in person, and having done a retreat this summer, I notice how when we're on these Zoom calls, we're just sitting there, right? Like there's a passivity. There's this kind of, it almost feels like a stuck energy because we're just sitting there and we're staring at a screen. And something I've been thinking about lately is, here I am, the stand for community and all about connection and sisterhood. And yet my work is all online. And so it's almost as if I am living in this virtual reality. And when that hit me, I mean, even though I know how to create connection, and it's incredible to have all these women from all over the world who I can go super deep with, there's just nothing like being in person. And that is actually what led me back to San Diego for this year, is because I was craving that in-person connection that you just can't get on the Zoom call. But this is this what I'm seeing is this theme of we're passively sitting there on the Zoom call. And even with coaching, it can be so easy to just sit there face to face with a client, and then you're in more of this like heady conversation, right? Versus like dropping down and being more in this uh embodied way. And so I think this is one reason why somatics is a buzzword. Everyone's talking about the nervous system. There's this desire for feminine embodiment. And what does that all really mean? And the way I like to look at it is there's the old coaching model. And that old paradigm is this kind of heady, thinking, logical way of focusing on mindset, focusing on limited beliefs, goal setting, looking at the wheel of life. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like that's so much of the work that I have done as a coach is huge amount of mindset and limited belief work. But where I have been guided to, and this is, I think, where the trajectory of where a lot of people are headed is into this the new coaching model, which has that layer of mindset and limited belief, but it's not that we're doing all the work up here in the head. We're actually accessing the body, and we're clearing out, we're releasing where the stuff gets stuck in the body. And then we're reclaiming and embodying a new way of being. And that really truly is the feminine. And so if I could just put this right here, some notes here. Embodiment coaching is the somatics, it's the body based, it's the emotional. And when we put these together, and this is like the masculine and feminine, right? We want to integrate. We don't want it to just be in the feminine. We don't want it to just be in the masculine. It's all about the integration. And even when we're talking about the divine feminine rising on the planet, it's not about replacing the masculine. This is not about putting down men. It's not about like men are less than, or the masculine is less than, or, we have to completely dismiss that way. No, it's integration. And this is what circle is all about. Circle is the integration, right? We do not want matriarchy to replace patriarchy. Circle is the equality because it is the merging, it is the bringing together of all of the energy. And that equality, that balance, that integration is really about honoring both duality and oneness, because that's the reality that we live in. There's both. It's a both and conversation. So when I'm thinking about taking clients deeper and going into feminine embodiment, I'm thinking about that integration point. I'm thinking about how do I take both the masculine and the feminine. And so when we're doing women's work, I think this is a really important conversation. There's two layers. There's the layers of the oneness, and that is the human layer of what is the human experience. And then the other layer is the more subtle one. And this is where we're in the duality of, and I would say gender. I'm going to say gender of the female body and the male body, and the female body and the history of how the female body has been objectified, has been degraded, has been used, has been told that it's less than the male body in our patriarchal society. And this essentially devaluing of the feminine. And so when we're talking about the divine feminine rising, it's really about valuing it as equal and as a counterpart to the masculine. So there's that yin and yang. There's that sacred union, right? And so women who are in the female gender with the female body parts, there's something here for us to look at of the layer of the ancestral trauma that has been passed down and how we can actually be reclaiming the power of our bodies, reclaiming the power of the breast that has nurturance, that has sustenance for a baby, right? Milk. To have to value and to have reverence for the whole pelvic bowl and all of the female parts that are inside of that. The vagina, the cervix, the womb. Now, this is not to say that that is more important or more valuable than the male genitalia. That's not what this conversation is. What we have been told is that our yonis are dirty, that our blood is dirty. The things that the female body do that are unique to the female body are dirty and wrong. And that, in fact, we've been completely disconnected that, most women are having cesareans, and there's nothing wrong with a cesarean. Absolutely not. But that the power of birth has almost been taken away from us. And we can look at the medical model of doctors don't want you to be sitting there. It's like, let's hurry up the birth process, which then is forcing more women into cesarean when it might not necessarily be required, right? So yes, if you're having that medical emergency, thank God we have Western medicine to be able to do that. And this is a new thing. So we have to look at that. We have to look at the trauma that the female body has endured for centuries, right? And I've talked about the witch wound before, where women, and actually it's not even just women, but women have taken on that belief and that fear of being burned at the stake. So the trend for women who are inhabiting the female body with female genitalia is getting stuck, really blocked in our sexuality, with our voice, with body image, with our sense of self-worth, because the feminine has been devalued for so long. And so we have the sister wound, mother wound, witch wound, which I've done past episodes on. You could go and check those out. And really, that because we have been taught to devalue the feminine, devalue these bodies, to not really pay attention to the strength and the ability that we have to create. Like, think about that for a moment. That we are natural creators, creatrixes, because of our womb space, because of our ability to give birth. Like, that is the portal between the unknown world, the realm of the invisible with the realm of the visible. It's like the baby is going through our channel, right? Magic. That's the magic. So we have been disconnected from the body, and as a result, we've been disconnected from Mother Earth. We've been disconnected from the cosmic womb and understanding what that is, that we are all coming from the cosmic womb, the dark feminine, essentially, right? And so we no longer trust in the process, in the mystery that is the feminine. And why should we trust? We've been burned, literally burned. Take that in for a moment. It is so hard for us to trust when we have that connection with the divine mother, the divine feminine has been severed. And so women, more than ever in the history of women, have been reclaiming their power. And you see it. You see it everywhere. There is a mass awakening of the divine feminine happening on the planet. This is why women's circles are so, like, people want circle. Women want circle, right? So many women are becoming coaches, waking up to their medicine woman, right? And wow, did I see witches everywhere for Halloween? Did I hear of so many people celebrating Samhain, not just Halloween, but Samhain, and just this real reclaiming of witch and seeing it plastered over social media like never before, because we as women are saying enough, right? And this is why we are being called as coaches and healers and therapists to go deeper into feminine freedom and embodiment. So let's talk about, what does that mean? What is freedom, first of all? So there's two parts of freedom. There's external freedom and then there's internal freedom. And when we look at external freedom, we think about our rights. And so we have made massive progress as women in the past century of having the right to vote, the right to property, the right to marrying who we want to marry, right? This wasn't happening a century ago. So we really truly have made massive progress in creating freedom and feeling that. Not in every country, not in every culture, but the majority of women have access to the external freedom. But the internal freedom is where we really want to go to work as coaches and healers and therapists, and having women really feel a sense of freedom within that internal freedom. And so what this comes down to is an understanding, a deep, deep, visceral understanding that I have choice. Even if it looks like I don't have choice, I have a choice. And in having choice, that means that I am a creator or creatrix. And I just talked about how when we can really get the power of this female body that we inhabit, our ability to create life itself, that is the seed for us to discover our internal freedom. When I understand that I have choice, when I understand that I am the creatrix of my world, then I have infinite possibilities. That is freedom. And so what we need to distinguish here to get to this place is understanding the truth of who we are versus what we learned. And what we learned is the patriarchal conditioning that has been passed down from generation to generation, that was taught to us by our primary caregivers at the earliest age and the most formative age, which is 0 to 7 years old. That's when the brain is most malleable. That's when we're really in the amygdala, and that's where we're learning through imitation. So we are imitating the patriarchal world mainly through watching the people who are closest to us, our main caregivers. And we take that on as truth. We take that on as this is mine, but it's not. It's a learning. This is the place where we get to start to discover our freedom. What's mine as my truth? And what did I learn from others, from society? That's actually not my truth. And so when I can distinguish and I can see the illusion of truth versus the real truth, I'm free from the system to start creating my life as I design. And that's where I can start to access magic. That's when I start to manifest the reality that I choose, because I'm no longer seeing the world as the patriarchal illusion I'm actually able to see the world as it is. And that's when I could begin to trust that life works. Life simply works. Take that in for a second. If I can create life and life works because I just see it working and look at the magic of how life operates with or without me, but that I am a co-creator with life. There's my freedom. Really take that in. Take in the power that you hold as a co-creator with life, of life. So if you can create a baby, and whether you're fertile or not doesn't matter, but that you, like, we have that ability. If you can create a baby, you can create anything. Anything. Feel the power of that. That is what freedom feels like, tastes like, looks like. So we get trapped, confined, stuck, and limited by the patriarchal lens in which we've been taught to look at the world, the way we've been taught to look at life. Life is unfair. Life doesn't work. Life is blank, right? We've been trapped. We've been caged. And we don't even realize that we are the ones who are holding the keys to this cage that we have been entrapped in, and that we can open the door at any time. So we could step into sovereignty. And sovereignty is that knowing that I am powerful, I am a creator, and I am responsible for the world that I create. And this is where we start to see that it literally feels like there are alternate realities. There are multiple realities happening simultaneously at once because of how we view the world in which we live. And we could see this even more, it's amplified in the collective on social media, how we're literally like, we're in a hall of mirrors. And we can see how there's this huge division happening of the way in which we're seeing things. And people are like, well, that's delusional, right? Standing over here. And then those people are like, well, that's delusional. But it's interesting when you think about how we are literally creating our realities at every given moment. So, how do we guide a woman to that level of freedom? And this is where embodiment comes into play. So I believe that we put these two together. Feminine freedom and embodiment are synergistic. They are connected to each other, because the embodiment is essentially being in the body, inhabiting the body, descending down from the head into the heart and the womb. So where do we create? We create from the womb space. Where do we love? Where do we be? In the heart. So to access our freedom, we have to come into and understand the magic of the body. And in doing that, we can also develop that relationship with Mother Earth and understand that Mother Earth provides, has an abundance. All of our needs are met. Take that in for a moment. If all of your needs are met, then what do you have? Freedom. So when I go into the body, I can then have a deeper relationship and understanding of Mother Earth. I can understand the magic of the body and the magic of Mother Earth. And I can understand that Mother Earth has an abundance. We see that out in nature, and that I have an abundance, and that we can create life. So there's understanding and knowing of our body wisdom. I can create. And here in the body never lies. The body always knows the truth. That is the magic of the body. And the body keeps score, right? So if the body never lies and the body keeps score, it can tell us where we're stuck, where we're trapped, where we are not free. And that is where these limited beliefs get stuck and trapped in the body. This is why I have always been drawn to acupuncture. Ever since I was 14 years old, I did acupuncture for the first time, and I said, I want to be an acupuncturist. And I became obsessed with Chinese medicine. I became obsessed with China and Chinese culture. I went and studied in China, and I learned Chinese. I mean, I realize now it's because acupuncture is understanding energy and where energy gets stuck in the body. So feminine embodiment is leading a woman out of her head into the body and somatically releasing and letting go of all the stuff that gets trapped. And so when we can experience a free flow of energy, right? And that's what acupuncture is all about, is creating the free flow and the meridians. Then I can access my power. I can be free, right? And all of that patriarchal conditioning, all of the learning gets stuck and trapped in the body. So if I want to get out of that trap, I need to release all of that somatically from the body. Now, you might already know this, but if I can trust myself, my body wisdom, and trust that life works, then I have freedom. I am no longer getting caught by the fear, doubt, and worry that things aren't going to work out. The fear, doubt, and worry that blank, right? I am in full trust of the process. I am in full trust of myself. And when I trust myself, magic happens. So I like to think of feminine freedom and embodiment as the feminine mystery school. And this is where you're seeing mystery schools popping up everywhere. Because for us to be inhabiting our body means that we are having freedom in our sexuality. We are more connected with our sensuality. We're connected with our pleasure and the truth of this female body, and especially the clitoris, having more nerve endings than a penis, right? Like, we are born for pleasure, and we are connected with our creativity, our intuition. These are all the pieces of the feminine that we're rediscovering, that we're reclaiming. And that's the feminine mystery school, is how do I really turn all of that on? Well, through feminine embodiment. And so as a coach, for you to begin to understand this is huge, right? For you to see the connection between these things will help you to then take women from out of their heads and into their bodies so that they can access that infinite wisdom that the female body holds and feel that freedom to then create the life that they love. Oh, this gets me so excited. And this has really been my path of understanding this and understanding how circle is the container for us to be able to do that, right? And that sisterhood is where we get to have the mirror of each other so that we can see our brilliance in one another, and we can reflect back to each other our brilliance, right? And where we're seeing that we are all connected and we are co-creating. And so sisterhood just naturally flows with that. So I hope that this was enlightening for you today. And we do have a workshop coming up called Get to the Root. And in Get to the Root, we're talking about how to actually guide a woman swiftly in 15 minutes or less into wherever the root of something is blocked, and then quickly release it and reclaim her power. And so she can actually start to have that feminine freedom that we're talking about. So if you're interested, go to the show notes. You'll see the link. You can come join us for that workshop.
You just listened to this show. I'd love for you to leave the Brave Woman podcast an honest review. Reviews help podcasts like this one grow, making it more possible for me to devote my time, energy, and money to its production. If you take a screenshot of your review and email it to support@sistershipcircle.com, we'll send you one of our archetype activations as a thank you gift. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it.
Up next, getting caught up in chasing shiny objects like memberships, ads, and funnels? Join us in the next episode as we explore the 5 divine feminine business archetypes to create a simpler strategy to grow your business as a coach or healer.